It's 2025, and whatever your opinions are on artificial intelligence or generative AI, unfortunately, it's here to stay. But I'm here to tell you that you don't necessarily have to be as worried as people might make it out to seem. And I'm going to go over a couple reasons as to why I believe that, in general, generative AI probably won't be as bad as people talk about. So like I said, I have a couple topics that I want to discuss, but this video is going to primarily be unscripted. I'm just going to go over my list of points, and we can kind of have a more in-depth conversation about it in the comments. You can leave your opinions, as this is all my opinions. I have done extensive research, including various essays with scientific writings that back it, as well as somebody who's engaged within the artist community, who's had many conversations with people who use AI art and people who are heavily against it. This is Shookey from the future here. So actually, after I recorded this video, I got this weird ad from this random corporation talking about how they believe that nobody cares if something is actually generated with AI or not. And it made me very upset, to say the least, because you should care whether or not something is made with AI, and I think most people do, as all the comments were against the ad and against the not caring about AI thing. And I just want to say that with this video, I don't want the message to be that you should not care if something is used with generative AI. You should care. This is just me giving some points as to why it's not something to necessarily worry about on the individual level. Yes, it is awful that jobs are being taken away. Unfortunately, that is just how innovation and capitalism works. And no, I'm talking about owning the means of production, not necessarily being a worker. If you are an artist who is a worker, you are not a capitalist. You are simply a worker. Capitalism is to own the means of production. So my first topic, and really the main topic of why I don't think we should be worried about generative AI in the long run, is art, the nature of art, and essentially the proof of authenticity. So there's an infinite amount of talking points that we can go into with generative AI. And as I mentioned, the main point is this proof of authenticity, and it'll make more sense the later we go into the video. So before I really break that down, let's talk about what is kind of hot right now with AI, and that would be advertisements and corpo usage. I'm sure many of us have seen the atrocious Coca-Cola ad or the Honda ad, or even, as far as I can remember, Salesforce using generative AI for their ads. This kind of weird, off-putting, straight-to-video generation AI that we're all so familiar with. Yeah, people hate that stuff, and it's very telling, but like I said, it's here to stay. In that regard, first of all, I'm somebody who doesn't like advertisements. I'm not sure there are many people who enjoy advertisements, but it's something that's unavoidable. But now when I'm watching TV and I see an ad that is not made with generative AI, I'm genuinely taken back by the craftsmanship and the art that's put into it. For example, there's this FedEx ad that kind of has this Spider-Verse animation style, and there's this Airbnb ad that kind of has this almost stop-motion-y, or at least a stop-motion effect ad, and it's just so breathtaking. And I honestly never would have appreciated the art that was put into these advertisements had I had not dunked so heavy personally and had such a negative bias towards these awful generative AI ads from these other corporations. But the thing that does really annoy me is that we're starting to see this stuff pop up in more creative fields like gaming. I know Activision, and this really upsets me, is using a lot of generative AI to kind of churn out their slop for Call of Duty. That really bugs me. I mean, there's a whole thing with the voice acting, how some of the long-term veterans of the series are quitting because they don't want to have to surrender their voices to artificial intelligence, which that is a different subject in and of its entirety, because that kind of deals more with voice acting, which is generative AI. You can obviously generate voices. That is a little scarier, but this is more towards pure visual art. So kind of circling back to that, it sucks to see in video games, and all I can really say is if you see these things and they bother you, don't support them. I am a long-term fan of Call of Duty Zombies. I've been playing since World at War 2008, but because of this AI slop, I put my foot down. I am no longer ever going to buy a Call of Duty game, including any further purchases of Battle Pass or COD points, because this to me is more important than them making a couple more dollars. If I've been saying AI art throughout this video, that's only due to some form of social programming or social conditioning, because generative AI or AI art is not artwork. It's a complex algorithm which steals data to generate a new image based on breaking down noise, as in the visual term for noise, like that kind of staticky color thing, and generating something new with said data. That is not artwork. The meme, I'm sure many of you are aware of, hand an AI engineer a pencil and paper and ask them to create something, because they aren't really creating anything. It's not a technical skill. And in the same vein, as this is one of the main arguments with AI, the deflecting argument that they would use is, oh, well, when photography first came out, painters hated it because it was able to take this thing and replicate it immediately. And my argument to that is, this is completely different, not to mention photography in and of itself, and there being photo-generative AI for photography is so stupid, because photography by definition or by its existence is the capturing of something which is real. If you generate a photo with AI, what the f*** is the point? There's nothing there. And do you kind of see where I'm going with this? The true art itself will always remain supreme. And I know for some people, this will kind of lead into something else, which we're going to talk about again really quickly, and that is viewership. Because some people might say, oh, but it's going to take away jobs, and this stuff is going to get more views, and that's true, but that's just how the world works. I mean, money talks. The rich get richer, the fat cats get fatter. It's something that can't be helped, which is why we as a collective of artists, as a community, need to hold these grifters and these scammers accountable. At the same time, ask your local artist what their process is. What materials did they use? Do they have a time lapse? Because you're gonna see people who use pure AI generated art who will, be asking for commissions, who will be saying, oh, this is not AI when it clearly is AI. You just have to hold them accountable. That's really all it comes to. And if they refuse to show you these things, don't patron them. Go find somebody else. Because at the end of the day, there will always be a supply of talented artists. Another topic when it comes to generative AI that we're all aware of is the feedback loops. So the fact that eventually these models will run out of training data and kind of feed off of themselves to create these Frankensteinish monsters, I guess you would say. This kind of plays on to the dead internet theory, which I'm sure you may be aware of if you're interested in AI. Just the fact that, a large portion of internet traffic is made up of artificial intelligence or bots, and they're all learning off each other, they're all feeding off each other, they're all telling each other, yeah, this is an okay form of speech, this is how people engage, I suppose. And while that is scary, once again, it's not like it's not new. I mean, bots have been around for a long time. I think, once again, as I keep saying, it all just comes down to authenticity. You just need to keep these people accountable. So if you don't really understand where I'm getting at with these points or want a deeper explanation of them, like I said, please hit me up in the comments below, especially if you disagree with my points, because I'd love to have a deeper conversation with it. Just please actually listen to the points and not just comment something using my words of which you think I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying, for those AI bros who are out there who are fuming at this video, I'm trying to talk to you at this median level. I hope you can respect the same for my point, because I think everything I'm bringing to the table is valid and legitimate, because this is stuff that I've seen. For example, on Instagram, there's this one account where it would take anime characters and it would turn them into emo versions of themselves. And, a lot of the comments, people don't really care. They're just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, this is so good. But then when you click on the person's profile in their bio, they say they're They're like a Nordic AI engineer. And I wasn't surprised it was AI. I kind of figured it was, which is why I checked out the person's profile. And for me, I just lost all interest. That was it for me. Once I knew it was AI and I had this bias, I don't care anymore. And you're gonna see profiles who use AI, who don't claim to use AI, and like I said, we just have to hold these people accountable. But my point is, the things you should be worried about with artificial intelligence, I'm gonna lump together in this acronym that we can call E.E.G.O. And you wanna hold the E, because it's E.E.G.O. And what that is the environment, Elon, gooning, and OpenAI. So it's not a well-known fact that generative AI and AI systems in general, and even things like cryptocurrency, are bad for the environment. They use substantial amounts of energy to do the things that they do. It's why someone like me, who personally considers themselves an environmentalist, is fundamentally against things like cryptocurrency and things like AI. And I understand that for some people, cryptocurrency, to them, it's a decentralized currency that they have control over. And I get that, and I think that's cool, but I don't know why it has to affect the environment for it to exist. Like, was there no other way that we could have created some sort of virtual currency without having to have environmental impacts? I've seen so many virtual markets exist across the internet, and I do understand that while a lot of those are tied to the US dollar, which maybe is what people want to kind of break away from, these things also don't have to be tied to the US dollar. They just are, because that's what most people want. I'm positive that if I wanted to trade a virtual item for a different currency, there would be somebody out there who would want to buy that currency. But that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to bring that up. The other thing is Elon Musk, and his thing kind of is correlated to the gooning thing, and how there are a lot of unethical generative practices with AI, whether it be deepfakes or just the massive amounts of pornographic material. We don't know what that madman is gonna do. Madman and a negative connotation, not like, oh, what a mad lad. No, like, this guy is genuinely insane and a problem. And the last thing is OpenAI, which is one of the most public available tools for AI. And one of the things that irks me, besides their various unethical practices, just recently, I don't know if you saw, but a whistleblower who was working for OpenAI was game-ended, ruled by Susie Slide after he came out against the company. But the other thing about the company is that they're partnering with a lot of industrial military defense contractors. We just kind of have to wait out and see where that goes. But those are the things that I would say you should be worried about when it comes to AI is the E.E.G.O, environmental / Elon, gooning, and OpenAI. It's a complicated situation, and I know that a lot of people who are even getting to this point, I mean, with what I'm saying, which I don't think it's fundamentally groundbreaking or anything, but just by having my opinions, there are people who are going to disagree. Like I said, please, I'm more than willing to have an open discussion about it, an open conversation. I think in a myopic sense, I think big picture, we definitely should be worried about these things, but again, there's nothing that you and I can really do about it, but there are problems that exist, and it's good to acknowledge them. Let me know what you think. I definitely missed some stuff. And once I upload this video, I'm going to rewatch it and say, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that. Because, like I said, there's an infinite amount of talking points when it comes to AI. But this is all I have to say for now. And if you've enjoyed the video, if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. I'm open to a discussion. This is just where I'm coming from. Happy New Year. And as always, thank you for watching. And take care.